This man is my friend and buddy Scott McKibben. I have to say one thing. He saved the Oakland Super Bowl effort. And now he's executive director of the Oakland-Alameda County Joint Powers Authority. And I am pleased as punch that you are here. Scott, this is, as my viewers know, your platform. Tell my viewers about you.
Well, you know, I spent many years here in the media business, running newspapers and television properties. And in those years here, I got quite involved in a number of sports activities. I was part of an ownership group where we tried to acquire the A's back in late '99 and 2000, and we had looked at building a new stadium in downtown Oakland. And I then sat and worked very diligently with you and many others on the effort to bring the Super Bowl to the East Bay after San Francisco was not able to get its stadium done on the original bonding issue going back to the late 90s. And then spent a couple of 3 years as the chief executive officer of the Rose Bowl game and the BCS National Championship game. The opportunity presented itself to come here and to do this job. I was already back here. My wife and I had spent a few years in Southern California, and we came back. And you know, at the encouragement of a lot of people, including team executives and team ownership that I would enjoy working with, I thought that this is something where I could perhaps add some value. And so we'll see. Here I am. We'll see. So far, people say great things.
People say great things about you. The right people. I just want to put that out there.
Oh, that's nice of them. I appreciate hearing that.
Yeah. What do you do in your role as executive director here?
Well, predominantly the job is to oversee the operations of the entire Coliseum complex. I report to a board that has 4 members from the City Council and 4 from the County of Alameda. And predominantly our role is to work very closely with the teams who are our tenants and with Anschutz Entertainment Group, which is the operating management company on a day-to-day basis for the facility. In driving revenues, bringing in as many new events and as much entertainment, both in the world of sports, music, and other kinds of things as we can to enhance the financial performance of the complex. At the same time, as you know, Zenny, the clock is ticking with a couple of our sports owners on new venues. And so I'm spending a lot of time working with our teams and talking to our owners and talking to our executives and trying to blend all that together with our publicly elected officials on how do we find a way in which to retain the Raiders and the A's and keep them here on the Coliseum site for a long period of time.
How are things going?
I would say things are going reasonably well. You know, it's early. I've only been here 6 weeks. And
it seems like 6 months.
I'm just kidding.
I'm
spending a lot of time, you know, trying to get my arms around the daily operation, working closely with AEG. We're taking a look at doing some bids for some new kinds of sporting events we'd like to think about bringing here. And we're also having those conversations with team executives and team owners, not only about new venues, but just about how do we better partner with them and enhance the fan experience and their relationship here as our tenants.
What is your background other than, I mean, you discussed the Rose Bowl, but also you have a great background as a publisher of a newspaper here. And what I'm getting at is the Oakland Tribune, and talk about those days, you know, when you were here. Because, and I mentioned that for a specific reason. You came very close to buying the A's. And that was, and someone's going to hear that as a throwaway line. They're going to say, hey, wait a minute. Can you talk more about that? Because you have some experience at this, you know.
When I came to run A&G newspapers, our corporate headquarters were actually down in Hayward. And Mayor Jerry Brown and I got together in late '99 in early 2000 and talked about how about resurrecting the good old beautiful landmark Tribune Tower in downtown Oakland. And out of that discussion came the whole notion that, well, you know, if we closed our headquarters down in Hayward and moved 450 jobs to downtown Oakland, we could continue to print our newspapers at our printing facility in Hayward.
If I may, was that when John Porter-Pappas owned the Tribune?
He owned the building. Madison Park Real Estate.
Right, the
exactly
Tribune Tower,
right. We actually did the tenant real
estate
deal with John.
Yeah.
And we had a piece of property that we were using as a satellite office over at Jack London Square, so I had to work with Chuck Foster and the folks at the Port Authority to get out of that lease and yet move downtown. And at the same time, I had this beautiful 7.5-acre plot of land down on Winton Avenue in Hayward, and we were able to consummate a deal to sell that plot of land to Alameda County to put up a new justice center. So inside of a 6-month period of time, we moved 450 jobs downtown to a beautiful old landmark building and had it completely renovated. We got out of our lease at Jack London Square and got that sublease to somebody else. We sold the land in Hayward to Alameda County, and they subsequently built a really beautiful new justice center down there, and it was a win-win for everybody. We did take a look. I was part of a group of buying the A's, and Steve Schott and Ken Hoffman.
This was 97, right?
It was 99.
99. Right.
99 is when we actually did it, and at that time, there was talk of putting the Raiders on a football-only facility out here, but in fact getting the A's a new venue, but building a new downtown ballpark. And so we took Mayor Brown to Detroit and to Baltimore and to Denver, Colorado, and we actually toured through some of these places to look at just exactly what would a downtown ballpark do in terms of an entertainment district where there's places to dine and hotels and shopping and so on and so forth. Unfortunately, Commissioner Seelig really kind of had on his mind back in those days that he was going to contract out Oakland and Montreal.
Right, I remember that.
And so for that reason, we did not get approved by baseball. My instincts tell me that had we gotten approved with the new ownership group, we would have either had a new baseball stadium someplace in downtown Oakland, or we'd have had a new baseball venue such as what Lou Wolf would like to have here on this property, along with a new football stadium.
It's funny how Oakland never dies, isn't it?
Yeah, the conversation just, the merry-go-round keeps going round and round, but the good thing is we're still on it.
Yeah.
And so...
Let me ask you the question that's on every fan's mind about this point and when you've heard it before. Can we save our teams? How's that going? From your point of view? From your position?
I sure hope so. I'm optimistic. This I know. I think that Lou Wolf and Mark Davis, in the most genuine and sincere way, want to stay in Oakland. They want to do a deal here. I think San Jose was an option for Lou. That has not materialized, but I think much of what was behind the motivation to look at San Jose was the frustration that they're not been able to get a deal done in Oakland.
It sounds like he's frustrated there now because he made a comment the other day through the media about it not being worth the hustle or hassle or something.
You mean San Jose?
Yeah.
Well, I think that he has spent a lot of time, a lot of effort, and probably a lot of money trying to get that whole situation resolved from a legal point of view. But at the end of the day, I think right now Lou's position is that he's reasonably comfortable and confident that we might be able to get something worked out here for him in Oakland. And our view is that we would like to have this be a 2-venue site. He has a little different view of that, and he is certainly entitled to that. But I think over time, our feeling is that through parking expansion and some other things, that we are hoping that we can show and convince Lou that we can make this a 2-site facility, and it would work out very well for him in the long run.
So what do you think so far now that, people have lobbied, like myself, to get you here, and we're all happy that you're here. What do you see on the horizon? I know you just been here for 6 weeks, but it's an open-ended question. What do you see on the horizon in terms of things to do that fans can help you with in terms of Twitter tweets and providing support for you?
Well, I think one of the biggest things is that it's always helpful when the elected officials hear from the fan base and from their constituents that there's a real importance in keeping these franchises here. Obviously, they're not inclined to want to spend any more public money. and I certainly understand that. Having public participation, where it be land, might it be infrastructure, there are a number of ways to help move this deal along without having to tap into additional taxes or the general fund. But I think anytime the fans can communicate in some fashion to the marketplace, that being the elected officials, that these teams are important to us. They're part of the fabric of this community. They provide a lifestyle amenity that is really important to people. People move to communities for a lot of different reasons. And, I happen to believe that pro and college sports for that matter, Zenny, are the kinds of things that people really engage in and endear themselves to with their free time. Some people fish, some people go to nothing but a Raider or an A's game.
I applied to the University of Texas at Arlington because I was a huge Dallas Cowboys fan, and I had a question regarding how Bob Brunig, the middle linebacker, what keys he looked at in the flex defense, and to my surprise, Ernie Stautner, then the defensive coordinator, the late Ernie Stautner, wrote back and invited me to his office. And so they gave me 6 fields of film. And I was on the 11th floor of 6160 North Central Expressway, the old Cowboys headquarters. Mm-hmm. And I could travel for free as today because Mom, but I was hooked. And it was because of the Cowboys that I wound up at Texas Arlington, literally sight unseen until like the first week of orientation.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yep.
There you go.
If you look to do these deals strictly from the perspective of do they on paper entirely pencil? The answer is no. I tell people when I take a vacation it doesn't pencil either. There's no return on investment. But there is a return on satisfaction and on lifestyle and on amenity and those kinds of things. And when we looked at being on the national footprint and the national map, whether it's prospective future companies or employers, those things all become a valuable part of the equation, sports franchises and the impact that they can have. So I think anytime the marketplace can speak to the publicly elected officials, I think it helps them in their decision-making process.
Scott, I know you got things to do. Anything else you'd like to add before we close?
Nope. Thank you very much for coming in. I appreciate it. It's always nice to see you, Zenny.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, all right. And support this man. He's doing a great job. Thanks, Scott.
Thanks.
Cool.